we mentioned Kwasi Poku. The 21-year-old striker has 8 goals in the season for Forge, seemingly blossoming before our eyes into a top player. Didn't play last night for Forge. Here's what Bobby Smirniotis, their manager, said about that.
Yeah, for Kwasi, right now there's quite a bit of interest in him in the transfer market, and we'll see where that lands.
Window's still open. We're not sure where this may be. We've heard potential links to Europe for the young player. What do you make of this, Oliver Platt? The fact that Poku has emerged to the point that the 21-year-old is being protected ahead of a potential future transfer.
Yeah, I think this is what tends to happen when a young player in the CPL has the kind of breakout that Kwasi Poku has had, because we all remember it with Arabin Peppo as well. Like, I think it can take, for some players, for some maybe players who are a little bit older or play in different positions, it takes a real body of work in this league, potentially over multiple seasons, for you to attract the kind of attention outside of the league that you're looking for to potentially move up. When you show you can score goals and you're in your early 20s, like, things can happen really quickly for you. So I don't think it's hugely surprising. It is an interesting one to see how Forge manage. You know, I think on the one hand, you could make the case that this is a great level for him right now. Finish the season, help your team win a title, show that you can maintain this goal-scoring run over a bit of a longer periods. On the other hand, when this kind of opportunity comes around, if there is something on the table for him to go to Europe or to go to another level, obviously it's very difficult to say no to. So it's going to be a really interesting one to watch, and obviously has consequences for everything we just talked about in terms of that depth that Forge have. Maybe this could take a little bit away.
What a move. He was playing outside left, almost in a fullback role, gets his opportunity up front. Jordan Wilson, if I'm a player with the skill set of a Poku, I'm telling my manager every day, play me up top, because that positional change has completely changed the course of action here.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue that, right? Like, he's had a great, phenomenal, he's a top-notch player. I love the kid, love his attitude. But you say like 7 weeks of scoring 8 goals and just performing. And it really started against CF Montreal and in that second leg, where it was like, you're going to play this guy there. And he really just took it with both hands and showed his quality. I think what I like about him is that if he goes to a club or country that is just starting right now, he's going to get a clean shake from the beginning in terms of getting in. There may be some are in preseason, but some have just started this season. He'll go there and impact because he's versatile. And I think as a young player, just being able to play different spots and really dial into what a manager wants from you is key. It's gold in this generation.
Yeah. Just what an advert for the Canadian Premier League, giving the player the opportunity and him going out and taking that opportunity and turning it into a potential move to Europe. We'll wait to say that it's done until that's absolutely in writing. The ink is being dried, but what a move for Poku and the Canadian Premier League. The Pokeroo. I just was throwing out that great nickname, and
the nickname was just getting hot.
It'll have to be for Canada games, right? For Canada games going forward, and we'll see. Like, guess what? It's time for Campbell, Jordan Hamilton to step up now and fill the shoes of Poku, which they've done before. We'll see what that means for Forge on the field. They're still wheeling and dealing across Major League Soccer before the transfer window closes. And CF Montreal is being entirely active. The window closed for CF Montreal to add international players through transfer, but they're still wheeling and dealing. There are reports, Tom Bogert, who's got his finger on the pulse of what's going on in Major League Soccer in terms of transactions and player movement. He's reporting that Mathieu Choiniere is on his way to Grasshopper in Switzerland for a reported $1 million transfer fee. Choiniere's 25, Canadian international, and was CF Montreal's player of the season last year, who earlier in this season reportedly requested to be traded over contractual differences in the way that they looked at things. Also, Ariel Lassiter, a very good player for CF Montreal, probably under the radar good. He's being traded away. He goes to Chicago Fire, Rouen. He left the team as well. All of a sudden, the CF Montreal team, with the addition of Jaquil Marcheretti and this little midseason juggle, continued to go younger and younger. And that is despite being only 1 point out of a potential playoff spot. Selling arguably your best player in Choiniere and a local guy at that will never go over well. But can you explain why a move like this would be important for Montreal to make, Oliver?
I think, look, I would prefer any team to have a clear idea of where they're going rather than just kind of being stuck in the middle of not being sure if, if you're a buyer or a seller at the deadline, to put it in kind of basic terms. And I think CF Montreal have probably made the judgment right now that they are not a team that's going to be competitive in the MLS playoffs this year. They may squeeze in, given the sheer number of teams that makes it to the postseason, but they're clearly not one of the top sides in the league. So when you talk about Ruan and Lassiter, both players who I think Lassiter's going to turn 30 next month, Ruan's around a similar age. Like those two, for me, I'm not too concerned about that. I think those are players that maybe at this stage you cash in on if there's an offer out there. Choiniere is obviously the one that's disappointing. And it may just be one of those situations where the player has made his mind up. There's reports that he's turned down the offers that CF Montreal have made to extend his contracts. Obviously, they only have him under contract for one more year, the club option year. So you kind of have to make a decision on him. But you can ask bigger picture questions, as much as maybe they've been forced into this corner by the player's stance in this case. You can ask those bigger picture questions. Well, why does a homegrown player want out so badly? Maybe asking some similar questions with players coming through at Toronto FC as well. So there's disappointment there, but the overall kind of stance of Montreal of deciding to sell off a few players in this squad, particularly towards the older end of the age range, to me, it makes sense with where they're at right now.
Jordan?
The only thing I want to add is just I look at the CF Montreal team and looking at it closely probably from 2022 when they had a successful year. 2023, like, do you guys feel that they replenished that squad to a point that was really competitive? Like, I think they've gotten away from maybe trying to compete and be one of a top team and maybe just barely making the playoffs, but just going young. Like, for me, it's a situation in the MLS. I know every season people teams really try to get the best players playing and most expensive players and really try to go for a championship. But with this side, I think since 2022, even though I like the way that they've played, I don't think they've replenished the squad the way that they've needed to be competitive.
No, and I think that's part of their the way that they look at this is that now they're getting younger players with higher ceilings that they weren't going to win with this group. So why keep them around? Even Choiniere is the one that hurts. If you want to go to Europe, I mean, he's 25. You know this, Jordan. Like, sometimes you have one chance to make that European trip and see if you can really make a go of it. This is it for him. This is 25. We've seen other Canadian players decide to stay. He's decided to go. The difference is the statement about the contractual disagreements and requesting a trade. If you want out to go to Europe, that's very different than asking for a trade away. So we wish him the best. Yet another Canadian player reportedly on his way to playing in Europe. It's been a busy summer of transfer moves. Moise Bombito, congratulations, made his move to Nice official. He's under the Ineos umbrella. Very smart people. You like that. I mean, it's been a summer of transfers. We mentioned Choiniere's reported move. We have Liam Miller going to Hull City, Junior Hoylett to Aberdeen. Who else? Ike Ugbo, Sheffield Wednesday. Like, a lot of player movement. Is there a Canadian, not to mention Cornelius and Kone, obviously, to Marseille, but is there a player that you're most excited about watching them with their new club in Europe this season? Jordan Wilson.
There's a bunch, right? I think I'm going to stay consistent, though, with one player, just specifically how it translates to the national team. But Liam Miller really getting that move to Hull City, a good championship club, and the playing time that he'll get with that squad as well. And just coming off a season with Preston North and playing 35 games. It's been a while, very long time. We've never seen him play so many, be that fit, get that playing time. I think it's a great time for him as well, because just having an attacking player of his caliber, thriving in a good league, and everyone who watches and knows in England, the Premier League is a league for the world, but a championship, that's the league in England. Like, that is, you are battle tested week in and week out. I hope he thrives.
Ollie?
Bombito for me. Like, what a story that is to see where this kid has come from in just a couple of years to now be playing in Ligue 1. With I think it was 7 million euros was reported as a transfer fee, and that may turn out to be a bargain in a couple of years with the trajectory that this kid is going at. So crazy to look at where Canada's backline and the questions were just a year or two ago, and to now look across it and see Celtic, Nice, Marseille, and Bayern Munich. Like, incredible turnaround in terms of some of those players' progress over the past couple of years.
Third overall pick in last year's MLS Super Draft, and a pick that was traded away by TFC, part of the Mark Anthony K deal. Wow. Just wow. Kone is the correct answer than everyone else, but you can make a good argument for take your pick, which Canadian player. It's going to be outstanding. Time now for our Visa Women's Football Report. Player reportedly on the move. This time it's Chloe Lacasse leaving Arsenal to make the move to NWSL and Utah Royals. How are you looking at this move and what this means for Lacasse, Oliver Platt?
Yeah, I think it makes sense for her. I think Chloe Lacasse, if she was 24 and just making that break up to the top levels in Europe, maybe you could say you stay there, you fight for your place, you try and make it a top club like Arsenal, but her story has been different, right? She's 31 years old. She's come right up through the ranks, literally has risen through the levels to get to this point. And I think as much as going to Arsenal was a great move for her at the time, she's going to want to play matches. She's going to want to play week in, week out, and not just be a bit part player. So going to the NWSL, where there's a bit of a higher floor, maybe a little bit of a lower ceiling, but you get those regular minutes. I think that's a move that's logical for her at this stage of her career.
27, very important time for this move as well. We wish her the best. I just hope that she's not pickpocketed on the way out, because that's Mikel Arteta. That's
I hate that these jokes are going to be growing and growing. Horrible.
Best of luck in Utah. Time now for our tonybet top picks. Through the weekend slate, the Canadian Premier League, York and Cavalry, a battle of the top four. York trying to get back atop the table, plus 165 if you want to back York at home. Cavalry, the away win, a favorite slightly, plus 154. Jordan, where are you going?
Oh, it's so tough. This match right here, York Lions Stadium against Cavalry on a Friday night, were some of my favorite matches when I played in this league. And it means so much to get 3 points for either side. I have to back York with this one. I don't think it's going to be a huge win, but I think there are goals in this game. I would almost want to say a 2-1 victory, but yeah, I think York's going to take it.
Ollie?
Skip me on that one, Ty. I'm calling it, so I don't want to commit.
I'm going under. Some juicy lines courtesy for friends at TonyBet this weekend. Valor at plus 127 at home against Halifax on short rest, plus 185. Oliver, you're not calling that game, so go ahead.
No, I like Valor at plus 127. I just think the way they match up, those two sides, I'm going to favor Valor at home.
Jordan?
I like Valor as well. Look, I just did my quick rant about Halifax, but for me, leaders need to step up. They made 6 changes in this past match. Like, I think Patrice guys is looking at his board saying, who's going to impress me? And usually when that happens, they've fallen short this season.
Pacific sliding plus 185 to win at home over Atletico Ottawa. Just 2 wins in their last 9, plus 135. Jordan, really quickly.
Atletico Ottawa. I think they're winning this.
All right. Ollie?
Pacific's had their number a bit this season, so I might be tempted to back them to get back to winning ways.
Again, under the total. Finally, Vancouver and Forge. Forge up plus 104 away. Do the Eagles fly this weekend, Jordan?
It's a tie. It's an absolute tie.
Forge.
A game I will not be covering because I had the weekend off.
Go on, Wheeler.
Following with Adam Jenkins, Jordan Wilson, and Jimmy Brennan. Triple J.
Two debuts.